Hello guys. So today I'm going to be making a review on active crossovers. I have a few years of experience with them. Um, this is mostly a video also for his name is JBL. He likes to mod stuff. He's got a few videos on YouTube. He mostly shows sound clips of his system and stuff like that. And he also has the same speakers like me, so I contacted him and I told him, why don't you go active? Because he's on the right track. I believe he bought the same passive crossovers off this guy in Germany. These are auto transformer passive crossovers. They're not, I know they keep the impedance and all that, but they're not really my favorite because they're not the smoothest. I've bought other ones which are also for sale, but yeah, I like the ones that with Solène capacitors. We're from Montreal here, so our best crossover builder is Solène, and they're smoother than these with just as much detail. But these ones here, a good thing about these ones is that they're very they don't suck any juice at all. So you can these would, like, let's say 2 amps, because they really don't suck any juice compared to the other ones from Solène. It's good in, I don't know, if you don't have high powered amps or whatnot. So the way I started this journey into the active is I started with this guy. So this is a 2-way electronic crossover. I have tape. See, you can change the frequencies. So the JBL L300s, they cross at about 800. So I put it at 800. And you have an input here. I put tape so that they don't move. So you have an input for the lows and the highs. No, you have an input for right channel, then for the low, and then for the high. So it's just 2-way. So basically, you gotta put a passive for the highs, because I have a tweeter and mid. So the passive side does tweeter and mid, and then for the lows, there's no crossover. It goes straight to the amp. So as you can see behind this, it's also RCA. Here you can see it. You have an input for the left. So you have one out for the low and one out for the high. So there's one con from going active, and the only con is you need another amplifier. Now, as you can see here, I have 3 amplifiers. So these are Macintosh amplifiers, they're vintage. So you may be asking, why do you have 3? Okay, anyway, that's because after this, I switched to 3-way active. This is 2-way system. It's really good. The first thing I noticed is there's a lot more clarity in the bass. Why? Because there's no capacitors in the path. There's no inductors in the path. There's back here again, sorry about that. So there's no capacitors or inductors on the low end, which means your amplifier is directly connected to your subwoofer. As you can see, you have some wires there. They go into my port. Now it's not complicated at all. I know it may look complicated, but it's not that complicated. You just need 2 amplifiers. Another good thing about it is that you keep the damping factor of your amplifier, and your amplifier only receives the signal of what your driver is supposed to do. So your amplifiers do not get the full range. They only work at what the driver is gonna be doing. Now for the highs, well, you're gonna have this one, but still your amplifier is gonna be working less. It's gonna get the frequencies of, let's say, this one at 800 and up. So this guy, and then he's gonna split your tweeter and your mid. Now after this, after I did my two-way, oh, and another thing I want to mention, when you go active, you keep the original damping factor of your amplifier. The impedances don't change. And as soon as I went active, I noticed definition in the bass was way better. Your amplifier really gets to control the driver. Now, after I did this, I bought myself another amplifier, that one right there, and that one was for the tweeters. So he does just the tweeters, that one does my bass, and that one does my mids. So I said, I want to buy this one. He is a new model. It's the K231 by Sublime Acoustics. It's a nice company. He responds by email. He's great. I really like this one. It's a steal of a deal. You can look at all the specs online. And what I like about it is that it has baffle I forgot the name. Something baffle compensation. And this knob right here is amazing. It really is. Because every speaker is different. So, and this one makes you tweak it to, how can you say, perfection. Yeah. Sorry about that again. I'm recording on my phone and I got another phone call. So as you can see, this one has 3 knobs, high, mid, and low. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have the ability to change the frequency. But if somebody who has L300s, you can purchase this one off me and it will come with all the modules. Because it's already tuned for my system and I don't really use it anymore, but I would only want to sell it to someone who has the same speakers. Now another thing about active crossover is that you, like this one is the 24CX. Why is it 24? Because it has a 24 dB slope, not like a passive crossover that is inside the speakers. Like every other speaker usually is a 12 dB. What that means is that the frequencies meet and mix together for longer. So when frequencies mix together for longer, we get distortion, phase problems, all sorts of things, delays with the drivers. So you don't want them to mix that much. So what did I notice when I went from this one to this one? Okay, well, by going to 3-way active, I removed this also. Got rid of this one too for the left side, and I only needed to get another driver. And what was the difference, you ask? Well, the clarity went up much more. How much percentage more? I would say quite a bit. I could probably get an update my amplifiers, and maybe the update won't even be as much as what I did by going to this one. It was a really, like, you can really hear the difference. I mean, you have 3 amplifiers controlling your speakers. You have no impedance changes at all. It's all independent. The tweeter gets only the tweeting frequencies, the bass only the bass frequencies. The mid one gets only the mid frequencies. The amplifiers are very lazy. They don't heat up at all. The benefits were really there. So now what I did now is I went even crazier. And I ended up contacting Marchand Electrics, and he's known for his crossovers. Everybody raves about his crossovers online, and I decided to give him a call. Now this unit here is much bigger. The knobs are, as you can see, they're attenuators. they click, so you have like a resistor for every click. It's high end, you know. It costed me about, I would say, through almost $3,000 with all the modules and everything. While this one, you can get it for about $600-700, let's say, with the modules. We're talking Canadian. And I'll show you the back of this one. Basically, it's almost the same, that one. The Marchand XM44. It's almost the same. But that one there doesn't have balanced input. This one does. But no one really uses those from what I heard. I don't. I use RCA. Oh yeah, another thing about active crossover is that you can do way more tweaking. You can control your bass amplifier from here, and you can make yourself a flat response at the listening position. I like to do it first with a microphone, and then I like to do it by ear. I do frequency sweeps and a few tests here and there, but nothing that you can't do without your ears. Like at the final step, I always use my ears to do the final tweaking. Now there's also more cables you can tweak with. I know some of you don't believe in cables, but in active you will really hear the difference in cables. I guarantee you. So look at that. You have 4 sets of RCA cables going into this guy. Same as which in that one. So those cables here, you could tweak them all. You could put, I don't know, a brighter cable on the mid or on the highs, and you'll notice a difference, guaranteed. I played and tweaked with cables a lot. What else can I say about this? So this is a 24 dB as is, but I have the modules to do a 48 dB crossover. Now with the 48 dB crossover, well, some people, I never tried it, but some people say that the drivers won't mix together as much. So you'll hear like tweeter, mid, like they won't blend in together as a speaker. But as is, it blends perfectly. The detail is there. The control on the bass is there, even though my amplifiers are vintage and they are 16. The damping factor is 16. Now if I would have had a passive crossover on the sub, it would be even less because you lose damping factor. Also, the longer your speaker cable is going to be, you're going to lose even more damping factor. Always keep your wires as short as possible to keep your damping factor. And so what's the difference of this one and this one? That's about $600-700 Canadian. Well, this one sounded more analog. Maybe a touch more detail, but it did sound more analog than this one. It's as if it kept the analog sound of the two-way crossover, as so, and gave the detail of this one. But this one will cost you way more. And this one here has the BSC. And this one, well, you have to get modules to do it, which is much more complicated. Personally, I would say to start with this one. The modules are less expensive and it does a really good job. It's amazing. Then later on, if you want it, once you're all set up, you can move on to this one. It is a better unit. Now, the main difference of this one, why the highs got better and I got more detail on this one, is because this one here is basically, it has another crossover like this, but inside. So you have the main signal coming in, and then it goes to the sub directly, but it has you could say kind of like a passive crossover for the highs. So it's kind of like you have another crossover inside this one. It doesn't go there. The mid and highs don't go directly to the source of the signal. They get split up. As this one, it's split up directly from the source of the signal. There's a good reviewer online who mentions who gives a bit more detail on this one. His name is Speaker Builder. He helped me out also, and he prefers this one over this one, but he didn't hear the third generation. This is the newest generation, and it's pretty good. It's really good, but it doesn't for the mids and highs. It doesn't go directly to the source. It has another crossover inside. As this one, it's direct from the source. It's as if the frequencies are split up individually. Now, what else could I say? I'll do a little tour of my system now. So as you can see here, this is not a passive crossover, but I built myself, I put capacitors in the signal just so that to protect my drivers, because my drivers are quite expensive, and sometimes you never know, something could happen with the amplifier, or by turning it on and off there's like thumps, or if anything like that occurs, I won't fry my tweeter. You gotta be careful, you know. I see I have them on that side. You don't need those. It's just for protection, those capacitors, so that no bass frequencies by any chance will go to my tweeter. Okay. I added another tweeter on my system. It's an ambiance tweeter. And that'll be all. So I'll be selling. I have two pairs of passive crossovers for the mids and highs. I'll be selling a 3-way active crossover, and I'll be selling this passive crossover, this active crossover here. And I also have a better version of these ones for the mids and highs, if you want to pair with this one. If you have two amplifiers, I highly recommend this one here, because to go 3-way, it is a bit more complicated. You might want to get protection caps, as in here, these ones here, so you're already like protected. No bass frequencies are ever gonna go through this. Okay. So if any questions, guys, just give me comments. Leave it in the comments and I'll respond quickly. Have a good one. Bye-bye.